And the guy was talking about, like, you know, he likes a lady that's submissive and dominant. And I clicked on the comments. I'm always clicking on the comments, and people women in the comments are like, submit? What? I ain't never submitting to no man and blah 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 blah. And I was like, dang, y'all just get it so wrong. Black women have it so wrong.
The dreaded S word. And the reason I call it the dreaded S word, because I know a lot of sisters, when they even hear the word submit, they automatically shut down. They don't want to hear anything about submitting to a man.
There's a lot of faces that happen, like when we're in church and we hear this reading from Ephesians chapter 5, and it's like, be subject to one another out of reverence for Christ. That's good. And then it's like, wives, be subject to your husbands as to the Lord. And the women's faces are either like, or they're like the stink face, like,
I know a lot of people are triggered by that concept of gender roles or submission or dominance, but I think we just take it way too far, and you're not seeing the utility of it.
A lot of times the word submission, the word being submissive got so damaged by people thinking that it's you know, like bow down to your man, or like rub your man's feet, kiss his toes, you know, like it's not like that.
And that is understandable, because a lot of times when we think about submitting, we think about that Bible verse, you know, slaves submit to your earthly masters. So we associate the word submit to slavery, but that is a completely imbalanced definition of the word submit.
What does the word submit even mean? So if you Google this word, it actually says, for submission, submission is the action or fact of accepting or yielding to a superior force or to the will or authority of another person.
This is the definition you can find in the dictionary. And in this highlight compilation, some of the ladies speak about submission from a religious perspective. Let's roll.
So submitting is an action. You can't do it without choosing, so you have to make a choice. And note that the Bible does, when it's talking about submission, it's directed towards the wives. So this is super crucial, because it's not in the husband section, and the husband has a section of Ephesians. It's not telling them, make your wives submit. It is directed to the wives that we should submit to our husbands.
Like I've said before, never try to convince a woman to submit to you. Matter of fact, never try to convince a woman to do anything. Look at the housewife video we've made. These women want to be housewives. Nobody forces them to make sandwiches. Deal with the ones that are down for the cause. You can't make a 3 or 4 a housewife.
So it is postured in a way where it's a choice, but it's knowing that we should be honoring our husbands in that way by submitting to them. And by doing so, we are honoring God, because God gave headship to our husbands.
Translations use the word subordinate. Some use submission, like wives submit to your husbands. And what's interesting about the word submit or submission, it means to be under the mission. So wives, be under the mission of your husband. And then it says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. The mission of a husband is to lay his life down for his wife, to love her as Christ loved the church. How did Christ love the church? He laid his life down. He sacrificed his life so that we might live.
The best types of relationships are going to be ones with the shared values. So let's assume that the shared values in this situation are ones where the woman is feminine and the man is more masculine. And in that dynamic, it's going to be really important for there to be a leader. Someone who, not necessarily to be an overbearing, dominant leader, but someone to take the leadership position as the captain, and then the other person to be the co-captain.
There can only be one captain to one ship. However, I understand what she's trying to say.
Think about any business, relationship, job, whatever you have it, there is a leader. So they get to make the final say. If everyone is not in unison, there always needs to be one person calling the shots. So marriage is no different. You still need leadership. You still need your roles, and roles are really helpful because they can help you know what to do to be effective and just running way smoother.
So in this case, the female is going to be bringing all of those feminine characteristics, and in her role, it's going to be more submissive as the co-captain, and the man is going to have more of the deference. So that's the word that I like to use, because to me, it communicates respect. So the woman is going to be respecting ultimately that man's role as the captain. And even if she disagrees, that's fine. You can give your input just like a co-captain would, but ultimately the captain makes the last call.
You see? That's why there's only one captain. And women do this all the time. They go to work and follow instructions all the time. They understand what leadership means. But when it comes to the man, submission becomes an issue. And one of the biggest reasons why is because you don't have authority. What happens if she doesn't listen? At work, she'll get fired. But at home, what are you going to do about it?
We have to get into that mindset that we can step back and allow a man to be a man, allow a man to lead, and that is basically what submission is.
So husbands, like, that's the mission of a husband, is to lay his life down. It doesn't say in there, husbands, your mission is to treat your wives like an object, to treat her like property, to be a domineering man, to be prideful, no. It's saying to love her as Christ loved her, with tenderness, with beauty, with gentleness, to lay your life down, to sacrifice your pride. And women, I mean, that's the kind of mission I want to be, like, that's the kind of mission I will be like, heck yes, I support that mission. I'm gonna be under that mission.
And that is not how you submit in a relationship. You don't submit to a man that tries to silence you. You don't submit to a man that tries to make you feel inferior. You don't submit to a man that tries to make you feel like you're beneath him or inadequate in any way. You submit to a man because he uplifts you, because he elevates you, because he honors you. You submit to a man because he does whatever he has to do to make sure your needs are provided for. You submit to a man because he is literally willing to put himself in harm's way and lay his life on the line if need be as your protector.
Right, somebody has to make the last call. Even me, when I'm on TV and I do the news, there's a director and a producer, and when something goes wrong or whatever, someone has to make the call, and there's a particular hierarchy so that it's not just chaos and nothing gets decided and then it's a mess. So life gets messy. So if you're in a household, in a partnership, because it's hard being in a partnership. That's why some people do opt to stay alone, because it's a lot simpler.
And that is what we are doing about it. We walk. We go somewhere where there's actually benefits to this dynamic. Finding a submissive woman in Western society is like finding a needle in a haystack. And if you find her, you still have to deal with her in Western society. Good luck.
Whatever the decision is, you're making it. But when you're in a partnership and with family and kids, it gets a lot more complicated the more people are involved. So that's why this type of system is a lot healthier for everybody, and it benefits everybody.
So don't trump your husband's authority and leadership. Don't be afraid to voice your opinion. Wives should not be doormats by any means. Your husband should be respecting you and listening to you and really valuing your opinion. And I'm sure he does if he's married to you, values who you are and your beliefs and everything. But it's when you can't come to unity, someone has to make that final say. And God has given the headship to your husband.
And when you submit to him, that still doesn't make you his slave. What you're doing is basically pouring into him or providing him with things that he needs in order to make sure you have what you need.
I wonder where this slavery in the house or relationship foolishness came from. In this world, you'll have to work. Human beings always worked. We figured out real quick that working together works better. So why the fuck do you want to be in a relationship for, if doing the things that actually benefit your relationship is seen as slavery?
You're not being, distrusting, and you're not assuming that someone is trying to hurt you or mess things up. You're assuming that they want the best for you and that they think the best of you. And so that comes with trust, that comes with intimacy, that comes with a lot of effort in really being a cohesive system together.
It's a humble strength. He's not domineering. He's not, doesn't treat me like an object to be used. He doesn't treat me like a slave. And I think that's what, when some of us hear this reading, we imagine like a slave and slave master relationship, when in reality, this relationship is more of one of reverence and love.
So if your husband is cherishing you and loving you, as God calls him to, he is going to be listening and wanting to hear your opinions on big decisions. And he is really going to be taking those to thought when he chooses what he thinks is best for you and your family. So it shouldn't be something, he should feel the weight of any decisions, especially if you guys are in unity on them, but it's not something that you should be taking lightly. It has nothing to do with your value.
And so that is what it really means to submit to a man. And no woman in the world should be in resistance to that, because that is not going to hurt you in any way, shape, or form. And when you don't do that, what you have is two assertive people in a relationship. And assertiveness is to masculine, what submissiveness is to feminine. And when you have two assertive people in a relationship, you're just gonna keep bumping heads. You have two stubborn people, you know, and neither one of them are having their needs met. And that type of relationship never lasts.
This video has officially been highlighted.